The following is a presentation of S.C.State Athletics.
For the second time in 3 weeks, Coach Boddy Pough's South Carolina State Bulldogs are in Atlanta, Georgia. This time to take on the GeorgiaTech Yellow Jackets at Boddy Dodd Stadium and Grand Field. The Jackets are coached by Brent Key. Key, a former Tech player, came to Georgia Tech from Alabama, where he's the offensive line coach. While there, they won 3 SEC championships and a national championship in 2017. For South Carolina State, the Bulldogs actually challenged Charlotte last week up in Charlotte, North Carolina. They still struggled offensively, but that offense should get a boost this afternoon with the return of quarterback Corey Fields Jr. Can the Bulldogs generate enough offense to give the school their first win over an ACC team in football in school history? We're about to find out. Coming up next on the Boddy Pough Show. Gets it to Alex on the right side. Alex bounces it outside into 40, turns the corner into 45, adds the field into Morgan State territory. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Takes the break through the 40, 40, 35, 30. Johnny Dixon, 25, 20, 15, 10, 20, Dixon, 5. Touchdown, Johnny Dixon. He keeps it himself. Devontae Green got wrapped up and gets him on the turf. Coach, we've been here before. A lot has changed as far as the atmosphere is concerned, but talk about this Yellow Jacket football team under Brent Key. They had a disappointing loss last week at Louisville.
You're exactly right. They've got, I'm sure, a big sense of urgency because not only do they play us this week, but they play at Ole Miss next week. So you can bet they're going to be doing everything they can to give us a loss today. Just
talking about last week for us in Charlotte, disappointing in that we had an opportunity to win that football game. And a lot of times when you find yourself in games, when you step up and play, it's difficult to pull out a win. But last week was a winnable situation. How do you build on that for the game here against Georgia Tech?
Well, I think first off, you do have the sensation of the fact that you probably could have won the football game. And because we didn't do quite enough in the short yardage goal line game, we didn't make the fourth downs, some of those kind of things. We weren't able to sustain drives the way we should have. So, we get another shot at the apple today. And, these guys will be a lot better than last week's teams, but at the same time, we think we'll be better also. So we think that we've got a little different plan. We're going to try to do some things within the zone read game, maybe do a little option off of it, some of that kind of stuff. Hopefully we can do some things to keep them off key in a way that we can sustain the football better, which would then make our defense a lot stronger.
Last week you actually played a little handicap because you didn't have Corey Fields at quarterback, and you really find out what he misses. May not be completing passes, but other things as far as reading the game. You missed that last week. What is his availability this afternoon?
Well, Corey's about maybe 85% right now, and we'd like to try to use him. We're going to start him as a matter of fact, but now we'll try to make all those guys have a little bit of an opportunity to get in there and get a feel for the game a little bit. And we like Corey to be able to play a little bit and then sit and watch a little bit, maybe reflect a little bit on what could be. So, it'll be one of those kind of games. We'll play 3 quarterbacks, possibly 3. We know we're going to play 2. We're going to play Andre Washington a good bit. We're going to start Corey Fields. And then possibly Prometheus Franklin may play a little bit because we practice him a little bit. So between the 3, that will give us a chance to kind of give all those guys an opportunity to play a little bit and see a little bit, and then even possibly get a little bit of a feel for, how the game goes at a high pace.
On the other end of the quarterbacking duties, you played a lot of different receivers last week. We saw a lot of young receivers come in and really have prominent roles at key points of their football game. Talk about those newcomers in there and those guys who may make a difference here today.
Well, besides our quarterbacks, all of our skill on offense is really new. Nigel Johnson is outside on one side, Jalen Linder. But Nigel from over at Crestwood High School and Jalen's from down at Bluffton. So we get those guys into the mix in a way where, we should be good for years to come. I think both of them are really going to be good players. Now we still have Richard Bailey and some of the other guys that we had in our offense still going, but most of our skill, is young guys. So then from there, and you talk about those running backs because all of those guys, all 4 of them, sometimes 5. Freshmen. So we got a good group of guys that we think could be really good players for years to come here.
I don't know if you got a chance to hear Coach Key last week talk about the running backs, and even though you may not have got the production that you want, he recognizes that there's talent at running back at South Carolina State.
You're right. Jawan Howell, is really possibly a special guy. Casey Fields, we like a bunch, and then our 2 redshirt freshmen, Tyler Smith and Josh Shaw, both those guys good. And there's another tight Tyler Smith back in the background that might play a little bit too. So this will be an opportunity for us to kind of play all those guys. You want to try to give them an opportunity to see how they fit within this kind of style of ball. And today will be a great opportunity.
Before I go to defense, Coach, let me mention special teams. Max Cobb played a big role last week, and, he struggled a little bit against Jackson State, but last week he seems like he's gotten comfortable, and he is ready for this game.
He is getting a lot better. He hits the ball really well. He seems to be real good on the rugby style punt, the sidewinder kind of stuff. So look like we're going to try to see if we can continue to develop that. And then Gavin Zimmerman will be one of our captains today. And Gavin made a 43-yard, 44-yard field goal in the game. So he's starting to hit it really well. And we're excited about him and what he brings to the table. So looks like we've got a good group of specialists coming on for the, for the game for the rest of the year.
All right, Coach. Now, as far as the defensive side of football, talk about that because you did step up last week. The offense couldn't keep him off the field, but the defense played really well. You'll need that effort here against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a breakdown in the second quarter. Besides that, our defense played really well. They got a score at the end of the game, but the game was kind of sort of over by then. But our defense played really well from the beginning, and we started to now get a feel for our young corners in the secondary seem to be coming along nicely, and then last but not least, the rest of our defense seems to be coming along nicely.
All right, Coach, what's going to take for you to get a win here today?
Stopping the run. It's, as we say all the time, and then for some reason, we're going to try to say, we need to throw it around a little bit on offense.
All right, Coach, best of luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
Stewart approaches. High end over end kick. Jordan will field it at the goal line and stay in the end zone, and that's where the Bulldogs will take it 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. Georgia Tech showing blitz. Corey back to pass. Here comes the pressure, and it's intercepted by Georgia Tech at the 25-yard line, at the 20, 15, down to the 5-yard line. Shotgun snap. King, play action fake, looking into the end zone, throws it out, has a man out there caught. This is Cleary. Cleary tackled down, close to that first down marker. It is a first down at the 4-yard line. Haynes King, the quarterback. 2 receivers stacked on top of each other to the left. Handoff inside. Pushing forward into the end zone for the score. That was Jamal Haynes on the carry. So with 12:28 to go here in the first quarter, our score, Georgia Tech 7, South Carolina State nothing. Washington with the snap. No one there to hand off with. He keeps himself at the 25, at the 30. Andre at the 35. Andre across the 38-yard line. Andre Washington looked to hand it off. No running back was there. King back to pass. King in the pocket. King going long. Got a man out there wide open. Caught. Touchdown. So with 8:30 to go in the first half, our score, Georgia Tech 21, South Carolina State nothing. Snap back to Corey. Back to pass. Corey looking. Corey throws it out. Richard Bailey caught. First down at the 45, at the 50. Into Georgia Tech territory up to the 43-yard line. Shotgun snap. Corey throws it out in the backfield. Keyshawn Toney breaks the tackle. Toney gets the first down, stays on his feet, knocked out of bounds at about the 26-yard line. Corey Fields. Play action fake, throws a slant. It is caught. They haven't signaled touchdown yet. It's at the 1-yard line in the shotgun. Gives it to Casey. Casey pushing forward into the end zone for the score. And with 34 seconds to go in the first half, the Bulldogs are on the board. Our score with 34 seconds to go in the first half, Georgia Tech 21, South Carolina State 6. King, handoff. With the football in the backside is Jamal Haynes. Haynes gets outside at the 40. Haynes has got one man to beat. Jamal Haynes down the sidelines. Haynes down to the 8-yard line of South Carolina State. No penalty marker down. How does that happen? Haynes King back to pass. Looking, throwing. Has a man out there. Touchdown. My goodness. Jalen Evans got there late. So just like that, Georgia Tech erases the Bulldogs' touchdown. 28 for the Yellow Jackets, 6 for South Carolina State. Snap to Corey Fields. He takes a knee, and that's going to do it for the first half of play. Here in Atlanta, our score, Georgia Tech 28, South Carolina State 6. Well, Coach, just like we improved from the week before, we improved this week, but to start this football game in the first half, doggone if we didn't get ourselves in a bind to begin the football game.
From the very beginning, we tried to throw a little shallow route at the very beginning and they pick it up and get it close to our goal line, and 2 plays later they're in. So before we even get off the bus good, we down 7-0. But Eventually we kind of sort of get them stopped, but we never really did.
You start talking about running the football today. You finally got some production. We've been talking about our running backs. You got some good production from them. And to be very honest with you, we were behind 14-0, but the backs were averaging 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, we got a little deal there now. We've got a little option attack going that can give us an opportunity to keep people off guard a little bit. And then it should give us an opportunity to be able to run the ball a little bit. Pass the ball a little bit too, because when you run the ball the way we did, it kind of makes them move around in a way to kind of defend the run, and that kind of gives us an opportunity. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do now in the next 2 weeks going into the Citadel game.
I know you'll go back and you'll see this on film, but there was a 5-yard run that Corey Fields made that picked up some good yardage, but then you snuck in Andre Washington after that, and Andre broke off an even bigger run.
Well, we're going to play both guys, I think, from here on in, but Corey wants to run the football. He's asked for it. So in that particular regard, we'll give him an opportunity to do a little bit of both. So that gives us an ability to not necessarily have him just be the passer and the other guy just be the runner. So we'll do both with both guys. It's just that we'll continuously try to see if we can kind of use them to spell each other a little bit.
When you start talking about the end of this first half, Coach, I know there's some defensive breakdowns where you could have come up with a couple of stops. It might have been a little closer at halftime.
You're right. We had a chance to go in at halftime 14-7, 14-6. And
21-6. Well, 14 was down.
Yeah, but we had a chance to go in that way, and it was heartbreaking the fact that we, didn't get it done. We gave up a big play right at the end, and then they got it in. We've got to get better at that stuff.
Let's go back a little bit, Coach, and talk about the drive that Corey engineered. After he sat down, he came in and helped engineer, along with Andre Washington, a 70-yard drive with 6 plays toward the end of the first half that really woke everybody up, got everybody's attention. That was before that touchdown.
And it started with a little bit of an option attack, and then we got from there to, we gave him a little bit of an empty throw attack, which, we got the ball to Richard Bailey a little bit for a big third down conversion. And then we got the ball to Keyshawn Toney a time or two, to our tight end. So it's getting to be, a little bit of a let's see if we can make this thing come together all the way around now in a way where I think we can build a little bit of consistency and get a little rhythm going in our offense.
One unfortunate thing that happened was a targeting penalty on Aiden Weber. Aiden made a good hit, but I knew when they went back and looked at it, I thought we'd gotten away with it, but when I saw it on the big screen, I was like, I think he may be gone.
Yeah, well, the good thing about that, though, is the fact that it happened in the first half. So that's done now. He'll be able to come back and play in the next game. So he'll be out for that just game. That'll be his penalty for that particular offense.
All right, the way the first half ended on Saturday, South Carolina State trailing Georgia Tech by a score of 28-6. We'll take time out here on the Boddy Pough Show. We'll come back with more after this timeout. All right, it's that time of the show where we do the Prism Health Injury Report. And Coach, it really wasn't too bad for the Georgia Tech game, given the physicality in this football game.
It was a physical game, but then we had a couple guys to get ankle injuries. I think Pat Anderson over at Hartsfield, South Carolina, had a sprained ankle. Hopefully it's not one of those high ankle sprains, but he is on crutches. And then Jordan Smith from Columbia has also got a ankle sprain. I think both guys, we got 2 weeks off. We'll be back in 2 weeks, but we'll be praying.
Of course, this is a time on the show. Also, we want to recognize a new sponsor on the Boddy Pough Show in South Carolina State football. That is Food Lion. And we're participating in their Sack to Give Back program. And for every sack that we get, Food Lion will give 1,000 meals to the Harvest Hope Food Bank. Unfortunately, Coach, we had no sacks this ballgame.
Well, now, let me tell you, somehow or another, we got to get some sacks next game. So we're going to double up next week. We hadn't quite figured out, exactly, how to get enough, but at the same time, we're going to try to see if we can get 2 or 3 meals, 2,000 or 3,000 meals the next time around.
All right, thanks to those folks at Food Line. We're going to take a time out here on the Boddy Pough Show. We'll come back with Saturday's second half highlights, Bulldogs and Yellow Jackets from Atlanta on this edition of the Boddy Pough Show. Maxion Cobb with the kickoff is short. Going to be taken by one of the up men for Georgia Tech at the 11-yard line. This is number 11 at the 30. Across the 35, knocked out of bounds at about the 35-yard line by Maxion Cobb. Haynes King is still a quarterback. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Shotgun formation. Georgia Tech going from left to right here in the second half. Flipping out of the backfield, this is Cooley at the 45. Cooley at the 50, at the 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10, 5. Touchdown, Cooley from 55 yards out. So with 14:42 to go here in the third quarter, our score, Georgia Tech 35, South Carolina State 6. Shotgun snap to Corey. Corey keeps himself over the right side. Corey gets up the middle across the 30 to about the 31-yard line. There's a snap, option to the left. Pitch it back to Juwan Howell. Howell turns the corner at the 45, at the 50, at the 45-40, 35-30. Howell at the 20, 15, down to the 10-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds. Best run of the season for Juwan Howell. Hand off to Corey, to Casey. Casey pushing the power forward. Gets up to about the 2-yard line. Snap it back to Andre. Option to the right. Andre making a man miss. Andre into the end zone. Nice move. Andre Washington just kind of faked like he was going to pitch it to Howell, able to cut back inside. And with 11:39 to go here in the third quarter, our score, Georgia Tech 35, South Carolina State 13. Jamal Haynes in the pistol behind the quarterback, Haynes King. King giving it to Haynes. Haynes tackled down. Going to be a penalty marker down. Snap's good. Stewart gets it up, and it is up, and it is good. So with 9:22 to go here in the third quarter, our score, Georgia Tech 38, South Carolina State 13. Back to pass. 3-step drop, looking long. Flips it out there. Has a man out there. It is caught. Was the inbounds? Yes. What a throw. Up at the 34-yard line. Keyshawn Toney making the catch. Fields, play action fake. Fields flips it out. Got a man out there. That's Keyshawn Toney. Toney across the 30 to about the 28-yard line. Hand off inside. This is Chris Cooley up the middle. Cooley into the end zone for the score from 15 yards out. So with 5 seconds to go here in the third quarter, our score, Georgia Tech 45, South Carolina State 13. Pistol formation. Pyrons passes. Nearly, it's intercepted by Jablonski Green at the 37-yard line. I think Godboat might have slapped the football. Here's a snap. Back to pass pro. Throws it over the middle. Caught. Short of the first down by a yard. Hand off to Pickens. Over the left side. Breaks a tackle at the 50, at the 40. Up to about the 40-yard line. And the gun will go off. Our final score this afternoon, Georgia Tech 48, South Carolina State 13. All right, welcome back to the Boddy Pough Show. Coach, in the second half, not the start we wanted because Georgia Tech was able to get on the board quickly.
Right. We didn't kick the ball quite where we wanted to kick it, and they got the ball close to midfield, and then on the very first play, they ran a little swing screen deal where they blocked the edge. Kind of a little holding out there, but at the same time, they got it through. Exactly. And they scored right off the bat. So it was another point, another score for them as soon as we got into the second half.
The positive thing about the second half, though, your offense settled down. Corey got in the game. You worked the quarterbacks in and out, and we're able to get the football down the field and get on the board.
It appears that we're going to try to use both those guys, and it looks like they kind of fit together in a way where they kind of complement each other. So hopefully, as the season goes on, we can keep both of them healthy, and they'll both continue to improve, and we'll get Corey really an opportunity to play good on his way out, and then we get him, Andre, a chance to be better as he works into, the early part of his career.
Now we got a great one from Juwan Howard. We talked about Juwan Howard and what he's able to do. He finally got into the open field and broke one off for about 47 yards.
He did, had a big run and got us down close, and then the next thing you know, we had gotten it in. So that was the most gratifying part of the whole deal, was the fact that we got the ball in this week, where last week when we were in Charlotte, we couldn't quite make it happen. So this was an improvement from last week to this week.
We're talking about improvements too, Coach. You were able to work Tyler Smith into the game. You got Josh Shaw some runs, and they gave a good account of themselves when they got a chance.
But all of those guys are good running backs, and I feel really bad about the fact that we don't get a chance to play all of them more. But we'll figure this out as we go on, and hopefully what will happen is we'll be able to work them in, maybe even in some other positions around our team.
Now let's talk about the defense, Coach. I thought it was kind of unusual. Finally, we see Jablonski Green and Patrick Godbolt on the same side of the field. They come up with a turnover.
Yeah, we did all kinds of things trying to figure out how to get a group together that could actually stop the advantage. We had a hard time with these guys, and they were really good in the offensive front, and we moved those guys around. What has happened is that Jablonski was playing some defensive tackle at the same time that Pat was playing the defensive end. He started at defensive end, and we kept moving guys around in order to try to figure out, if we could find a way to get them stopped. Well, that seemed to be the best combination of the whole lot. So hopefully we found something, but at the same time, we need to be able to play 8-10 guys because it's kind of warm at this time of year. Defensive linemen do tire out in times when it's day games and it's hot. So we got to figure out how to get enough of those guys together. we can actually play a full game and keep the level of competition up high.
All right, it was a tough one for South Carolina State as the Bulldogs go down to defeat the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 48-13. We'll take a time out here on the Boddy Pough Show. When we come back, we'll tell you what's up next for your South Carolina State Bulldogs. All right, South Carolina State going into an off-week, coach, and it's coming at a good time because we got a heavy slate headed down the stretch.
It really is, and we'll get back home. We'll go back into the film room and study ourselves and try to figure out exactly how we improve. We'll continue to practice for the next week. We'll probably give them a couple of days off and then go and practice the rest of the next week. And then 2 weeks from today, then we'll play the Citadel at home, our first home game. Hopefully we'll have a big crowd there to meet this team as we go into our home schedule, and then from there, then we'll go into our regular, 3 games at home, and then from there we go into our conference schedule. So we don't have much. We don't have much to do for the next day or so. But starting next week, then we'll full speed get ready to play the Citadel.
Talk about the Citadel, coach, and those Boddy Pough tentacles go far and wide. Yeah. They've gone back they went to Green Bay, and they've come all the way back to Charleston. That's going to be a special game.
Yeah, Maurice Drayton is the new head coach down there, and I'm pulling for him, but at the same time, I won't be pulling for him in 2 weeks. And I think they got beaten up some today at home against Campbell. I'm looking forward to getting back to the house and being able to look at some of their film going into the next week.
All right, Coach, we're off this week coming up, but that does mean that there will be a Boddy Pough Show, that we're going to produce a Boddy Pough Show on Watch Fox 57, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you watch the Boddy Pough Show. Coach, we're looking forward to the off week because the show will give us an opportunity to really expose some other things around South Carolina State with things going so well at the university.
Well, it's always great to be able to have an opportunity for some of our other sports and some of our other departments to be a part of this program. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what we can put on for the next show.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of the Boddy Pough Show. For Coach Boddy Pough, I'm Ernest Robinson saying so long. We'll see you next week right here on the Boddy Pough Show.